Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and on today's episode, we are talking Alzheimer's and dementia. More importantly, our guest is talking about how to effectively communicate with somebody that you were either caring for or somebody in your family who is suffering from this debilitating, unfortunate disease, which is so important, is how we communicate with them to make sure that they understand you and you understand them, which is so, so important. And we talk about certain things that can be leading to this and steps that she is taking in her own life to help prevent getting this disease that we still don't know much about. So this is a very enlightening episode. I encourage all of you to listen and to share, because she is sharing some very, very valuable information that can help you or a loved one navigate these times. We work so hard our whole lives and we get old. And unfortunately, a lot of our family members or us ourselves go through these things that we cannot control. And so it's important to be educated about this and to take steps to know how to deal with these challenges in your own life with your family members or friends, but also how to take steps where you can try to prevent it on your own. So we will be right back after this brief message on Next to Madison.
Hey, it's Madison Malloy. I just wanted to remind you to make sure you grab a copy of my book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up. It is a great, funny self-help book that is going to help you get out of your own way. I have already helped thousands and thousands of people, and they are on their way to living their dream life, and I want every listener to be able to live their dream life as well. So grab a copy of the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or even the audiobook on Audible. Now back to the show.
We are back with our amazing guest, where we are talking about a very important issue, which is Alzheimer's and, of course, dementia. This is something that is affecting so many people. So I'm so excited to have our guest with us here, Debra Kostiw, who is the founder of Answers About Alzheimer's Incorporated, who is going to share with us her experiences and what she is doing to help this debilitating disease that so many of our family members are suffering. So with that being said, Debra, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am fantastic. And thank you so much for having me, Madison, because this really is a super important topic. So I'm really happy to be here to share this information, because there are so many people that need it. It's literally insane.
Oh, I know. And it's just, and how it hits people. I mean, I had a grandmother that had dementia and was in a memory care facility. And this is a woman that was so vibrant, on top of her game. And it just, when it hit her, it was just like, oh my gosh, it's like not even the same person. It's like they died before the body died. They were already gone. And It was such a sad way. It's like, this is a woman who was a pioneer for women's sports, who did so much in her life, to have your life end like this. And then we had another family friend who was a big maritime attorney, very successful, and at 65 developed some sort of Alzheimer's dementia and was dead at 67 years old. And so it's just, we don't know how it happened. So like, through your research, have you come across like how this is happening? Like what's come out of how we can prevent it almost?
Yeah. There's so much unknown right now, Madison. In fact, I'm in touch with a real leader in this field. And several years ago, he literally threw out all of his research and said, it's garbage. We have to start completely over again. And different dementias attack in different ways, and they have different proteins and things that eat away at the brain. So I think that there's just so much unknown right now about this disease and where it comes from and why certain people get it. It's like uncharted territory.
Well, exactly. And like, do we even know when the first Alzheimer's case was even diagnosed?
Well, Dr. Alzheimer's wife was, I think, probably the first that really kind of became that this was a disease, a brain disease, right? But there's so many other different types of dementia. I think that a lot of families who are dealing with some of these other dementias almost kind of get upset how we use the word Alzheimer's interchangeably with dementia. because there's so many other dementias that are also very important and need attention.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, it's just so crazy because basically, it's just the brain kind of deteriorating and kind of just shutting down before the body shuts down
yeah,
in such a way. And you wonder, you go, okay, well, is it in our the pollutants in our environment? Is it the pollutants in our food? Is it like, it'd be so interesting to know like what countries are impacted the most by
hmm,
this disease. My inkling would be the United States because our food is so toxic and our government has no safety protocols really in place. This is why you go to Europe and you don't get fat when you eat bread and pasta, but when you come here you blow up like a balloon after one meal. And it's
interesting.
just like, we had a family friend who Italian woman and ate a lot of pasta because she was Italian, but she was American Italian, not Italian Italian. And she got early onset dementia in her 50s. And my mom always said, I bet you it was all the pasta, just the
Mm,
sugar in the pasta, the food. But I said, well, why didn't her husband get it? So is it hereditary? I mean, there's so many questions that just like you wonder, like, how does
yeah,
this happen and how do we prevent it?
right. And there, different dementias come on, they think for different reasons, right? So they say that what's good for the heart is good for the brain. So, like the low fat, low carb, smoking, alcohol consumption, like all of those same things, the steady exercise and the cardio is all really good for the brain. But like head injuries can induce dementia,
Wait, you said
right?
smoking's good for the brain?
Smoking is not good for the
Oh, that's
brain.
what
So
you
it's
said. I was like, wait a second.
no, 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 no. Like all of the things that are healthy and unhealthy for the heart are same true for the brain.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, wait a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Here
I
goes
think I
everybody
did kind of
smoking again.
say that to make it sound that way, but right. So I was kind of talking risk factors in general there, but yeah, yeah. I mean, there's even alcohol related dementia, which is called Korsakoff syndrome, right? So if you quit drinking alcohol, you can actually reverse it depending on how far the brain damage goes. So different dementias come from different causes. So we can't really generalize it, right? Like and like CTE for the professional sports players that have repeated concussions,
Yes.
right? So different dementias can come from different reasons.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you do, and it's just crazy how like how it's been around, but we just don't know enough about it
Hmm.
still.
Yeah.
And so what does your company really focus on?
Yeah. My specialty is what the doctors don't do. Right.
Okay.
So you go to the doctor and you can go in and say, like a neurologist's office or even your general practitioner, a geriatric doctor, you go in and you say, well, I feel like I'm having some memory problems, and they do all the cognitive testing and they do the mini mental status exams and all of that, and they send you for MRIs and PET scans and whatever it is they do. And what the doctor is going to do is they're going to diagnose your symptoms. They're going to send you for testing to try and figure out which type of dementia you have, because different types of dementia have different symptoms, different medications that may help. And then they're going to be able to maybe tell you where you are along the disease process, right? And maybe what abilities you're going to be losing and some of the struggles you're going to have. But what this doctor cannot tell you, because they don't have the knowledge, they can't tell you how to get that person in the shower, how to get them to not be enraged 24/7, how to get them to eat their
Yeah.
dinner, take their pills, get in the car to go to the doctors. How do you, on a day to day basis, deal with that interaction with this person who has brain damage? I mean, this is not easy stuff to deal with. And so these poor people, they go to the doctor and they're like begging, my husband is having hallucinations. He's punching me. He thinks he's in the war and he's beating the crap out of me, and he's walking out the door and I can't stop him. How do I keep him safe? And they're like,
Oh my
I
God.
don't know. They don't have the answers. So that's what I have. I
Yeah.
have all of the techniques and the scripts and the what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, and how to get actual results when you're in front of that person with dementia, because that's what people need. They need results in the
Yeah.
house, in the memory care unit, in the nursing home. When they're having these problems, they need to know exactly what to do and say.
Yeah. I mean,
Because you and I have a conversation, it's a 50-50 equal exchange of information. But when one person has brain damage, it becomes lopsided. And what I would say to you, a person with dementia will take offense to it. And it's like you're picking a fight with them. And people don't realize that their words and their actions are actually escalating. Like you tell a person with dementia, oh, I'm here to help you. They're like, I don't want your help. I don't need your help. It's the wrong thing to say. So I teach people how to communicate in a different way. And it's very simple. It's not hard, but I teach them how to communicate where we can keep them calm and happy, because they don't
wow.
want to be enraged all the time. They don't want to be out of control, but because of the brain damage, they're unable to control themselves. They can't self-soothe themselves, right? They can't rationalize. They don't understand right from wrong and consequences for actions, right? There's no
Yeah.
there's no line in the sand anymore. So they'll say things that may be really rude to you, but they don't really mean it that way. So those are the kinds of skills that I teach family members in large facilities and communities on how to deal with this. Because if the patient with dementia is happy, everybody else is going to be happy.
Yes. So can you share some of that for the listeners? Like, how would you say to a dementia patient, I'm here to help you? How would you rephrase that to keep them calm?
Yeah. So instead of saying, I'm just here to help. I'm just here to take care of you. I want to help you, because they're like, I don't want your help. You could say something like, I can see you're really upset about something. And they're like, yeah, I am. Well, tell me what is going on. Tell me why you're so upset. Let's work this out together. You know what? You're smart. I'm smart. We can figure this out.
Interesting.
So now you're like a team, right? It's not, oh,
Yeah.
I'm here to help you because you're stupid and you have brain dead. Because they already know that they can't get things right. They're already knocking themselves down in their head constantly. I'm going
Yeah.
to screw up. I'm going to say the wrong thing. I don't know why they're mad at me. They're constant. That's why they won't get up and do anything either, is because they're like, I'm just going to do it wrong. So I'm just going to sit here and then maybe nothing will happen. I won't screw up again.
Wow. Wait, so you had mentioned previously there's like how different types of dementia.
Yeah.
So how many different types of dementia are there? And do they
There's over a
progress?
hundred. There's over 100.
Over 100?
Yeah. I don't even know half of them. I just know like the most common ones. Right. Yeah.
So does it start at one and then just move up a ladder and escalate and then evolve into the other ones, or
No,
no?
no.
Wow.
So typically you're diagnosed with one dementia. And actually on my website, I have a free download for people that's called Understanding Different Dementias, because we're finding now the newest data is reporting that after autopsy, approximately 80% of people have more than one type of dementia when they pass away. And doctors are really diagnosing one and then they're kind of done, right? They're not necessarily looking or searching for a second or even a third dementia. So they can overlap. So you could have Alzheimer's disease and Lewy body, or you could have Alzheimer's disease and frontotemporal dementia. And those have very different symptoms.
So is there any treatment for dementia?
Well, I don't really get too much in the treatment part of it. I leave that more for the physicians. I'm more the behaviors, communication,
Yeah.
hallucinations, sundowning, that kind of stuff. But there are some medications that do help kind of clear the brain a little bit, maybe slow the progression a little, but it's not going to certainly stop the disease. It is a progressive degenerative brain disease.
I mean, it's just so what is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
daily, like multiple times a day, I get that question. So I feel like the easiest way to explain it is that Alzheimer's is a disease that has dementia as a symptom. So dementia is a symptom, Alzheimer's is a disease. So different diseases have dementia as a symptom. Alzheimer's, Lewy body, frontotemporal, Creutzfeldt-Jakob, Korsakoff, um, Parkinson's disease, Huntington disease.
Oh my God.
These all have dementia as a symptom, but dementia is a group of symptoms because most people, when you think of dementia, you think memory loss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So most people think memory loss, but dementia is a whole group of symptoms. It's not just memory loss. It's problems with language. That's why they can't like pick out a word, or maybe they can't interpret what you're saying. So they have problems with language, understanding, and speaking. They have problems with personality changes when the frontal lobe gets damaged. They can become completely different people, like what you were mentioning earlier, right? Because that's where our personality traits are stored.
Yeah.
So it changes our personality. It also changes all of our senses. So people with dementia, they have a completely different visual field, way beyond normal aging. And their hearing changes. They hear sounds that are so magnified. It's so intense. 24/7, they are bombarded by what they hear. It's incredible what these people are dealing with inside their head. I'm literally getting emotional just talking about
Yeah.
it
I mean, it's so
because
sad.
when I teach the course, people are they're like beside themselves when they realize what this person is really going through.
Oh,
And it's it's unbelievable that they can do anything like brush their teeth. Like people don't realize just picking up a pen takes an incredible amount of bandwidth to just pick up a pen. There's so many things, there's so many steps. That's your executive functioning. Like you have to think of, first of all, you have to realize what this object is and what it's used for, and you have to decide that you need it for a purpose, right? So you want to write a note. Okay. then then your eyes have to see how far away it is. Then you
yeah.
have to manually, you have to physically pick it up. Now, are you going to pick it up so tight that you're going to crush it? Or do you hold it nice and loosely? If you hold it too loosely, you're going to drop it, right? So your brain has to do all of that. Then you have to pick it up. And how are you going to hold it? Then you're going to have to use, like, it's an incredible amount of bandwidth to
Yeah.
just pick up a pen. So when you think about you're telling somebody to feed themselves or get dressed or go to the toilet, it's an incredible amount of energy that brain and all different parts of the brain have to be able to coordinate to make a simple task happen.
It's just, it's so, yeah, it's so crazy. You know, when my grandmother got diagnosed with dementia, my dad and my mom always said, you know, I think the loss of hearing contributed to her Alzheimer's because she was such a stubborn woman. She refused to wear her hearing aids. And when you
Mm-hmm.
can't hear properly, it can deteriorate the brain. Would you, have you, you're nodding your head yes, so you absolutely agree with that. And you've probably
Yes.
seen that a lot.
Yes.
So
My
that's
husband
why,
recently got hearing aids. And when he went to the hearing aid center, they gave him a pamphlet. And I think it said something like, if you have hearing loss, it increases your risk of developing dementia by 7 times. It's a
oh my
very big
gosh.
risk factor. So if you start to lose your hearing, get your hearing aids and wear them. So what
Yeah.
happens is when we lose our hearing, right? And we can't hear certain sounds like the hum of the refrigerator, a dog barking outside, right? What happens is if you don't hear those noises for an extended period of time, that actual recall of recognizing what that noise is will die in your brain and you may never get it back.
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
I know.
So that's what the brain just starts to deteriorate because it's not being hitting those sensors as much.
Yeah. And when it's dead, it's dead. So it's kind of like that use it or lose it mentality, right?
Right. You know what? I saw something yesterday and some doctor I follow, she's a natural doctor, but I follow these doctors about all the benefits of fasting and how it helps. So it's like once a brain cell's dead, like of drugs or whatever we do to kill our brain cells, like it's gone. But fasting apparently after 24 hours goes into something they call neuro something. But you can actually regrow your brain cells by not eating. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how come I can't fast 20 hours? I get those pains where I'm like, "Bleh," and I'm sitting here going, wow, starvation would actually make me smarter, thinner, happier. And everyone's like, suck it up. Hunger pains aren't going to kill you. Get through it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But so do you suggest fasting for some of your patients?
Well, I don't really. Well, first of all, I think it's going to kind of depend on what type of dementia you have, how far it's already progressed, right? I mean, this might be too late, right, for
Yeah.
those people. But there's research now because this is kind of newer research because I've also been hearing the same things from neuroscientists that because it used to be always said that you can't regenerate or regrow new neurons, but that is old information.
Yeah.
So we're learning now that you can like re-stimulate and regrow some of these neurons. To what extent? I mean, is it really going to prolong your life or make a difference in your day-to-day activities? That I think still really remains to be seen. But
Right.
I think we need to start being more proactive when we're younger. You know,
So I should fast tomorrow.
uh,
Um,
why not? Why not? It can't
well,
hurt,
because
right? I
first
don't
I was
know.
going to do it for like, like I got a big photo shoot coming up on like aesthetics. And then I was like, well, I feel bloated. I'm like, reset my gut. And now I'm like, wait, get smarter. Why not?
Yeah, yeah,
But no, it is so crazy to witness and how we think, most people I think by default think Alzheimer's and dementia are an old person's disease.
yeah,
But you're finding, and I've heard that it's happening younger and younger.
yeah, yeah.
What
Younger
is
onset.
causing this?
I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't.
Is it the government trying to kill it? No, don't censor me, YouTube. I didn't say that. um, is it the jets or the chemicals being sprayed into our atmosphere? YouTube's gonna be
yeah.
like, ban down. I know it's
I mean,
crazy.
if we knew that, Madison, we would be sitting on the beach instead of in our offices. We
I
had those
know.
answers. Boy, I'd give just about anything for those answers.
I know. So it's just, I mean, because once you got it, and it's like you don't, it's almost like they don't realize they're getting it until it's kind of too late. I
Yeah.
remember with my grandmother, like she didn't want to tell people, like apparently she was going to McDonald's all the time for food,
Mm,
for dinner or breakfast or whatever, but it was like a way to get out of the house. And then she was just eating all that crap, which probably made it even worse. But she didn't want
hmm.
to tell her children that she didn't was forgetting how to cook and use stuff because they knew exactly what they would do, especially her daughter, my aunt, would have been like, that's it, you're going in a home. My dad was a
Yep.
little the nicer, more lenient one. Um, and she knew she would have to hear that from her daughter. So she didn't say anything until all
Yeah.
of a sudden she was losing her bodily functions
Mm,
that when you all of a sudden can't really wipe your ass or she had an ostomy bag and you're pulling that off, that's when you can't hide it
yeah.
anymore,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, it's just it's a tough
It
thing.
is a big fear, and that's why I think people do hide it for a long time. They're
Yeah,
afraid that they might get locked up in a memory care unit or put in a nursing home.
yeah.
Who's going to take care of me? right? So I'll just kind of hide. I'm safe in my cocoon and I'll just stay right here and as long as I can and put it off. But the problem is we just lack skills and techniques and scripts. That's all we're lacking.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
So as somebody that works day to day in this and helps families and people that are suffering through this, what steps in your personal life are you taking to prevent yourself from possibly getting this?
Learning new things. They say
Okay.
that learning something like really difficult, especially like new languages or a musical instrument, are really, really good for the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cardio exercise where you're really getting your heart pumping and getting that oxygenated blood up through your brain, right? Keeping those neurons healthy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And I think just your basic life choices, right? That they're kind of always talking about. Like I mentioned earlier, what's good for the heart is good for the brain. So,
Yeah.
low fat diet, low sodium diet, cardiovascular exercise, lots of water, stay away from smoking and alcohol, you know. But I will say I've read articles that talk about, the ketogenic diet, how that's good for your brain. And I've been on and off keto many times. And I'll tell you, I feel clearer in my brain when I'm on keto. I
Interesting.
think
Now
those carbs kind of gunk up your brain with the
they,
sugars, right? Like what you mentioned
yes,
earlier, the sugars.
yes. So do you do any fasting?
I don't. Oh my gosh, I don't think I could.
Well, maybe after this conversation, you and I should hold each other accountable and fast because the
I think I would
benefits are
faint.
crazy. Well, I think it's like you almost have to kind of train yourself. Like you can't just go out and run a marathon, right? You would die. You
Oh,
have to train yourself. So like I think it's like
hmm,
I'm gonna try to do like, okay, I'm gonna try to just like do like 2 days of just bone broth or 1 day of bone broth. Like as soon as you start to kind of
hmm,
shrink the stomach. But I've had a speaking coach that went 14 days and they said it's only up until the second day that it's hard. By the third
really?
day, you start having more energy, your brain is more clear, like you just think better, you're sleeping better, you just like want to go out, you have more energy than you know what to do with. It's just getting through it. I'm like, well, what about those pains when you feel dizzy? And they're like, that's when you chug water. Like they go
Hmm,
away because the pains are just a signal to your brain saying we need to eat, we need to eat. But if
right,
you ignore them, they vanish. Like, okay, I guess we're not eating. So
right.
we just shut off. But I wonder if the dementia and Alzheimer's like research teams are going to start incorporating fasting with
Hmm,
this because and it's such a weird disease to talk about because there's so much that's unknown about it
yeah,
that like you and I could be having a conversation right now and we might have just come up with a cure and we don't even know it because it's so, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
don't know and we might have actually hit on exactly what causes it, which could be
And
the
the
we
other
don't
thing, Madison, that's really interesting for Alzheimer's disease specifically, they're now showing that the brain cell death is starting about 20 to 30 years prior to symptoms.
holy crap
Yes. That's why I'm saying it's more you've got to start these lifestyle changes way
now.
earlier.
Hmm.
Yeah. 20
And
to 30 years prior.
here's another concern that just popped into my head because
Hmm.
everybody, is on their phone, music, gym, blah, blah, blah. So, and there's not something for hearing, and people are blasting the crap in their ears at such a young age that people at a much younger age are starting to lose their hearings.
Hearing.
You're not going to
Yes.
get a 40-year-old or something that's going to go out and be like, oh yeah, I'm putting on hearing aids. It's just not going to happen. So
Yeah.
I think if you're saying like yeah, hearing contributes to Alzheimer's hearing loss, this is only getting worse.
Hmm.
So it's like if you're a young person who is cognitive today, like start being more cognizant of the volume on your phone, where you're listening to things. Like I just don't understand. Like they cut off like the top of my cornea or retina or whatever and like fixed my vision to where I'll die with 20/20 vision, like through a laser. But we haven't figured out how to do a laser in an eardrum.
Yeah.
Because this, I wonder if nobody had hearing issues, if Alzheimer's might go away.
Well, that's just one of the risk factors, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many risk factors that are involved and they can't really pinpoint it. You know, like if you're African American or Hispanic, you have a higher risk.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I did not know that because when I was in my grandmother's memory care unit to visit her, I didn't see any one of African American or Spanish descent in there at
I
all.
think they tend to take care of their own more still at home, maybe.
Okay. Okay. Because, yeah, it was really interesting. And I'm like, yeah, how does this happen? But it's so great that you're doing what you're doing because there are so many people that do want to take care of their own or people that are working in these facilities that get very frustrated. And it's breaking down that communication barrier to where you
Yeah.
can get on the same page and educating them to understand how their brain works because most people talk to people and assume that their mind works like your mind when it's really not. And that's why communication is the root of all successful relationships, friends, family, romantic.
Yeah.
And also now you're saying Alzheimer's and dementia. But I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that, like how you speak to them. But I kind of like what you said. I said, I feel like that would work with like a romantic partner or a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Even
Oh,
not
yeah.
somebody with just dementia. It's like, I can understand that you're frustrated. How can I help you better? I think that's
Yeah.
just general good communication skills.
Well, and you know what else? You start out with, you know what? You have every right to be pissed off.
Yes, you validate their feelings.
I'd be pissed off too if that happened to me. And you could be totally lying. Like they could be hallucinating and you could be like, I can't believe they did that. I'm going to get rid of them right now.
Yeah.
You want me to get rid of them right now? Because boy, I'm gonna get them. There's somebody in the garage. Where? I'm after them. You wait right here, Missy. I'm gonna take care of them right now. And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 100% success rate with hallucinations, by the way.
Wow. And
I
so
do.
you must, but you're like an angel for these families because they're probably just like wanting to pull their hair out.
Yeah. After the first class, they're like, my stress level has like completely gone
So
because
how do
of the
you,
skills that they're taught. They're just like, oh my God, this is insane. Like,
it's amazing. So how do you know when somebody's experiencing a hallucination?
well, they'll usually tell you, you
Hmm.
know, they'll usually start describing, oh, there's a man outside, or oh,
Oh,
somebody came in my room last night and they're looking for my purse, right? Or the worst one is delusions, like you stole from me, or you're abusing me, or
oh,
you cheated on me, you son of a bitch, you cheated on me. And those delusions are the hardest to deal with, the hardest, because you can't convince a person with dementia. You can't show them facts because they can't rationalize anymore. They can't debate. They can't see things from another perspective. So that's probably the hardest thing for caregivers to overcome when dealing with that. But by the time they go through the journey with me in the class, like I could tell them in 10 minutes what to do, but they're not going to do it because they don't get it, right? But if they take the course, which is only 4 days, if they take the course, by the time we get to that section, they are so deeply embedded and involved in the process that they'll do like anything. Like they're like, I totally get it now. So then when I give them the techniques, they'll just do it. I had a lady, this was amazing. I had a lady in my class and she said she had only taken the first class, but he had hallucinations. He had Lewy body dementia. And so we talked about a scenario that had been happening. Well, that didn't happen again, but he ended up having a delusion and she has a male caregiver that comes in to take care of him. And she was having a problem with her computer. So she and the male caregiver went in the bedroom and he was helping her with the computer. And then after the male caregiver left, he came after her and he said, I saw you guys come out of the bedroom. You were cheating on me. And so she thought about the techniques that we had talked about earlier. And she said, okay, if I deny it, we're just going to get into an argument. It's not going to solve anything.
Yeah.
Right. It's just going to get more and more escalated. So she bowed her head and she said, I can see how you would think that. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. She's not admitting guilt.
Right. But it's how, yeah.
But she's like, I'm so sorry that I have made you feel this way. And I want nothing more to ask for your forgiveness or something like that. And she said he got over it fairly quickly, like within 5-10 minutes, and they went on to have a good day. But normally she would have been like, no, he went in, I show me the computer and boo, it's not going to work. It's not going to, no matter what you say or do, it's not going to work.
I feel like this is a course that everyone should take, whether they're dealing with somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia or not, because I feel like it's just good communication.
And it's fun, Madison. I mean,
you need a relationship. You need a relationship
fun.
Course. Like you need a dating course.
Yeah.
You need, like
maybe that'll be my next, when I'm 80, I'll do that.
There you go. Like how to properly ask for what you want.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And get the results that you need.
Exactly. That's the key.
That's what I'm all about, getting results. Because I've taken training after training after training after training. And I'm like, where's the results to use in front of my person with dementia? Because I didn't get that out of this class.
Yeah.
Well, so that's why I created it. And that's why I wrote the book. Because I'm like, this is crazy. Nobody is showing us the skills. And then I realized I already knew them all. I was just looking for somebody to validate it for me. So, okay. Like, wait a minute.
So what is the book? Where can people buy the book?
Oh, the book is called Forget Me Not.
Uh-huh.
And it's the #1 Alzheimer's and dementia caregiving book for professional or family caregivers. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere books are sold.
I love it. And you wrote that book?
I did.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. I love that. So what is your website they can go to not only find out more about you, your courses, but also that chart you said that people can kind of.
Yes, understanding different dementias. Yeah, that's under the free resources tab. The website is answersabout.alz.org.
Answersabout.alz.org. Okay.
Yes.
So that's great. And then they can buy your book there and they can sign up for courses and all that stuff.
And I'm on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. You can find me everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Deb, you're amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
I love that. This was amazing. And this was such an important episode. And also you are such an angel, a walking, living angel
Thank you.
for doing this, because everybody on this planet is dealing with it in some sort of way, whether it's a grandparent, a parent, a spouse, themselves. And it's not going to necessarily get better. But how we navigate it is the key to, how we can successfully deal with it. And so what you're doing is really a gift. And I'm so honored to have met you and to have had you on my show. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was so great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're amazing. So you guys go check out her website, answers2alz.org.
Answersabout.alz.org.
Answersabout.alz.org, and I'll put it in the description as well. Check that out for sure. And thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.